So I'm so happy to be in this call with you, even though, we had several Zoom call, we met in person in Florence as well. But every time, I speak with you, what's really remarkable for me is your energy, your willingness to do what you do, right? Which is helping professionals and other people that would like to jump into the, into the freelance world. And also you help people to slow down, right, with your retreat that you basically organize all around the world, but also especially in Italy. So I think what would be interesting to hear for people that are listening to this call is also what's behind that. What was your call that made you start, to do what you are doing now? And who are you?
Oh my goodness. That's a lot of questions. Let me see if I can take them one by one. Good morning. It's always so fun to be with you. Um, in business, I am a champion of women. That's who I am.
Champion of women. Wow.
A champion of women. I've been doing that in different forms my whole entire life. And it's very important to me because women birth the world, right? So we're very important. And we need to keep front and center to be sure that we're very important. So my business now is organized around helping women entrepreneurs build long-term, sustainable, and profitable businesses. And sometimes it's easier than others, you know, but I think entrepreneurship is just a wonderful way to live a great life. And so that's what interests me. In terms of
Entrepreneurship is like creation, right? It's an expression of creativity, so to say.
It is, and some people aren't very creative in their business. They might be part of another business, but it's theirs. So they don't have to invent the business, they don't have to invent the product or the website. But I like to work with the people that are creating something from nothing,
From
an
zero.
idea, something that they transformed in their life. So I mostly work with coaches, consultants, people that are what I call the change makers, that are out there really wanting to stand for the good of humanity. And that's what I like to do. That's my
And we
favorite
all
consulting
need
job.
actually that, especially in this phase of our life, right?
We
Without
do.
opening other windows now.
We do. The retreats are just fun. You know, um, I've shared with you before that, I come from a big Italian family, and so I started my life in community. And then I went to parochial schools for 16 years, and they always were part of community, and they always encouraged us to be part of community. And so that's in my fabric. So in going to the retreats, we're together in this little group. We see beautiful places. We take time to slow down, to pause, to look at things differently, to change our environment, get a whole refresh. And we have meals together, which I love doing. I love eating with people. And so, that's just kind of how it started. But I went on a few retreats. And I used to call them here in the States, I used to call them conferences where I would do a small conference. And now I take them on the road and now I call them retreats.
Exactly. So I love the fact that you already started to make some kind of differentiation from between conference and retreat. There are people here, that talk with and I share because I'm also organizing a retreat here in Asolo in June, and they say, but what's really a retreat? Or they might be thinking, and I see they think in that way that a retreat is like a workshop, right? So they ask me the question, what am I going to learn from this? What are the skills that you're going to teach us? What's the main difference, Marie, based on your long experience between a retreat and a workshop?
Well, I think workshops have a particular intention of things that you're going to do to work, right? It might be learning a new skill, might be practicing something together. In a retreat, it could still be that. You could still be teaching things in retreats. But I think it's people are going not so much like, we talk about slowing down. To me, that's the wrong thing to sell because people know they need to slow down. What we want to start talking about is what happens when they slow down. What when they leave after they've slowed down, what's available to them now, you
Mm.
know? And
That's
so when
where
you look at
the real magic is going to take place, so to say,
yes,
right? The outcome.
And that's what we have. That's what people want to buy is the outcome, you know. And so, you know, for me, it's La Dolce Vita in Tuscany. Like, what is that? You know, do people live that? You know, I think even when I'm here in the States, my life is designed around that. Um, but some people don't know what that is, or they don't know how to engage it in their life so that they don't always have to go on a 10-hour plane ride to go to Italy or something, you know? But I think, you know, it's just wonderful to be in community. And I think magic happens when you're in a different place, in a different environment, eating different food, listening to different language, seeing different sights, and being with people that you either know very well or you don't know, you've never met before. I mean, that's something. And that requires a very good retreat leader and a good facilitator as well.
Why your experience when you are in a new place, new context, new people, new food, new music, maybe also you start to change a little bit more easier than if you are in your usual environment, so to say.
Yes. Yes, 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 yes. I mean, you know, my house is my house. My office is my office. It doesn't change very much, you know. And I can be on Zoom. I mean, here I am here in Atlanta and you're in Oslo. And but we're connecting. But once this is off, I'm still in my office. I'm still in my house. I still have laundry to do. I still have meals to cook, you know. And it's just really wonderful to go away and let all of that go and be fully taken care of and fully supported because some people have never had that experience.
So
That's
what's
very
interesting
important.
about, yeah, that's really remarkable because what's really interesting about retreat, based in my experience, I came from a long experience of training and teaching and giving, precise outcomes. What you will learn from this experience will be ABC. When you do a retreat, it's not easy to say what are the outcomes because the outcomes are related with what every single woman or every single person need, right? Which is related to their story, their experience. So even if you say, okay, you will have a chance in this experience to slow down, and as you said, they know they need to slow down, but that's not so appealing to them because they feel like, oh my gosh, I have to slow down. I know on one side I should do it, but I have a million things to do, right? I want to make sure I'm going to take some stuff that is going to be useful. I'm going to take some stuff that will help me in my career, future life, all of this. So I think what's really cool about retreat is that even if a woman or a person is going to come with the idea to learn some stuff, the place, the country, the city you pick, the environment is going to be like a container, right? A container that is going to be a catalyst in somehow to slowing down, thinking in a new way that, if you stay in your usual environment, it's hard to happen.
Yes, exactly. And I think, you know, then those of us that are the retreat leaders, we have to lead where people are going. They'll get their experience, whatever it is, but we determine where they're going. You know, I know what La Dolce Vita is. And I know when I go in June, I'm going to Sardinia. We called it Awaken Your Senses. But we have activities designed to appeal to each of our senses. And so, and other people will experience whatever they experience in that sense. But we lead that conversation and we're guiding them through an experience. So what they walk away with is an experience.
To an
Most of the time, it works
experience
out pretty good.
most of the time. Yeah, I love the name you gave to this retreat you are running in Sardinia in June. Wake your five senses. That's the shortcut we can use to really be present, to really slowing down. And that's
Yes.
the number one rule that typically they teach you also in improvisation. I'm fan of improv, so slowing down and be present and use your five senses is great. Unfortunately, in the everyday routine, we're not used to do that because we hear all the time, you gotta be fast, you gotta be quick, you gotta jump here and there, and even when this is not real, we are the first one to say so. I speak based on my experience. I have a hard time to slow down. I'm training myself and I'm keep training, but I understand how hard is that. So when you usually meet women or people in general that join your retreat, what is the number one need typically that you notice in them?
A need,
Yes,
they want a vacation.
vacation, okay?
You know, I'm looking even, you know, I do some retreats here in the States. And the one that I've got coming up, we're calling it "Give It a New Face." Give your business a new facelift, because many of us have been doing our business for a long time. We have our programs that we've been doing for a long time. We do it the same way all the time. What if we changed it up? What if we charged a different price? What if we gave it a different name? And that's a business retreat, so we're going to have some outcomes with that. My promise is that people will come out with a new way of being in their business. How that's going to occur, I'll have certain things lined up, but people will do what they do and they'll walk out with what they get. So I have a responsibility as a retreat leader to put that in place. In Italy, it's more experiential. We're not producing any results in Italy.
You don't
It's more the
produce any
being.
results. I love it.
In workshops, we produce results, right? And in our everyday work, our business, we're producing results. We've got to get it done. We're connecting with people. We've got appointments to make, things to offer, social media to do. There's always something doing. And sometimes, we're used to that pace. And sometimes to stop that it's challenging sometimes to get people off their phones. We've had people come to Italy where they've had a commitment to lead a seminar, and they get up at they do it from 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. in Italy time. Everybody else is sleeping, but they're leading
Wow,
the seminar.
amazing. Yeah. I
As long
love
as
the
there's good
sentence.
internet.
Yeah. I love the sentence you said before, with the retreat in Italy, we don't produce any results. I would like to say, if you agree, that you produce results, which is basically kind of new feeling on who we are, right?
It's like the outcome.
Exactly. The
Mhm.
result somehow is like a transition almost to a new identity without the need to, make a revolution about our life, about who we are. But in my experience, it's about start to really get clarity on what's really important for you and how you can express those values in your life, because the values I had 5 years ago, 10 years ago, maybe are not necessarily the same I have now, but we are used to think that because they are values, they must remain the same for the entire life. That's not necessarily true, we change. And so a retreat in that space, in that sense, like an experience, is an opportunity to focus on who we are and who we are going to be, you see. But going back to your experience, your Italian roots, because I do believe what make you so special in what you do is also because you have some Italian blood, okay, in yourself. What is that you notice that is happening in Italy that is not happening in other places every time you bring people here?
Oh, well, I think one thing that people comment on all the time is that there's a lot of pedestrian walking places where a lot of the cities are just walking spaces, like Florence, you walk everywhere. There's not too many places in the United States that do that. I have to have a car. I have to have a car to go anywhere. So I drive a lot. When I go to Italy, I don't ever drive.
Wow.
Someone else drives for us when we go to places. So, that's one thing. But I think, there's just, I mean, we do a lot of the same. We eat outside, al fresco. We have beautiful art. We have beautiful places in the United States to go see. I mean, the world is beautiful. But I think it's just fun to go. When I go there, I taste my heritage. I taste Nonna's cooking or my mother's cooking, and I see things that I just grew up with. So it's just it's a reminder of who I am, and again, the fabric of who I am. And with Italy, it's the number one travel destination in the world, says Condé Nast magazine. So people love to go there. People are treated well there. The food is delicious. The wine is delicious. The art, the history is magnificent. I mean, it's old. Here in the United States, we're 250 years old. That's it. That's it. You're thousands of years old, and really launched humanity in so many different ways. So there's so much culture that some people go with the retreats for me. They just love to go, and they're they're wine lovers and they love to taste all the different wines. Some people are the foodies and they just want to like have a different meal every day and taste everything. Some people love the art. They'll go to every museum. They'll buy every ticket to go in, things like that. and then we come back and we really share, you know. In the evening, oftentimes after dinner, I create a space that we call it riflessione serale,
Mm.
so or evening reflections. My friend in Italy gave me that name to call it rather than evening sharing. He said riflessione serale. Does that sound
Riflessione
good?
serale, to be really immersed in what is the Italian style, so to say. And I love what you said before, right? That people coming from US to Italy for a retreat experience, what they love, what they experience here is also a different way to move in a city, right? To experience the city, because as you said before, in the US, pretty much, unless you live in area where you can do that, you need a car, you need to move in a certain way. Here we have so many area in the historical center where you cannot even enter sometimes, by car. So you need to use your body in a different way. And that's
Yes.
another experience as well, that can elicit new way of perceiving yourself and have insight also.
Yes. I think, the kind of things that I do in Italy, for most people, they consider it a vacation, but it's a vacation inside of that bubble, that container, you
Inside of
know?
that bubble. Actually, that was my next question, right? Because what's the difference based on your experience between a vacation and a retreat? Based on the way you lead that.
Well, I've been on both, you know, both are great. I think sometimes the people are looking to how can they use it for their business because most of my clients are business people, but they bring their friends, they bring their sister, they bring their brother, they bring their husband. Um, I don't know if there's really a difference. I mean, we want to make sure that people have a great vacation, and most people will come in earlier, they'll stay later, and they'll go do something on their own because they just want to see another place. Um, but now, I just think that there's a commonality, and sometimes before the retreat, we hop on a Zoom and we just get related,
Mm.
not trying to do
We
anything
get
other than get related.
related, right? So that
So
that
when you,
that sense of being part of a community, being part of
yes,
something that you don't have
yes.
if you just go on a vacation. You might have it, but you got to bring your group of people, which can be in somehow sometimes an obstacle as well, because you're not so open to new way of thinking that, right?
Yes. I mean,
Generally
it's
speaking.
Yeah, that's so true. Tonight here in Atlanta, our favorite Tuscan chef is in town, and we have him every year for a beautiful dinner. So we have about 20 people coming to dinner at one of my friends' homes, and he comes and he just prepares dinner, and we just celebrate. He brings the wines. People can order wine if they like to, and he lives in Tuscany. He lives on inside of a beautiful vineyard, and we've just developed a relationship. He's now like family. So every year we look at when can Andrea come, and do dinner with us. And he travels all around, but he's met great people. So we try to incorporate the people that we've met into the work that we do, so that they're not. I mean, I always say to people, they're not coming to Italy for me. They might come with me because they trust me and they know that I line up things very well and I have good partnerships there, but they're not coming for me. But I try to be the me who can set it all up so that they have a wonderful experience.
So
And
would
we
you
got
be
it, and I make myself available for them.
I make myself available for them. So would you be right if we say you are a catalyst of their experience because you create the container, so to say, where they can meet people, they can get some experiences, but mainly they build also a community that they can feel they are part of it even after, the experience here.
Yes, and tonight we have, I think, four people that were with us just in Umbria over the holidays are
Oh,
going to be
lovely.
at the dinner.
Exactly.
So, and some people have met Andrea years ago. Some people just were with him last May. So, we all kind of become this extended family for him, and he enjoys it. And he does it all over the United States and Canada for people that
Fantastic.
he's just met, doing dinners. So, and he's a character, so it's great fun. And people remember that because he's memorable. So how do we, Italy is memorable. How do we bring that beautiful experience back, I mean, sometimes things happen. People have lost their luggage. We've had some people that have gotten, mugged, and we just include it as part of the learning. This is what happens, and how can you use that for your advancement? What's the learning here? and know that they're fully taken care of, and when something like that happens, because, that's what happens to
Yeah.
any of us
Because
anywhere.
your reaction in certain situations you might experience where you are in Italy outside your comfort zone, you don't have the control of the system, might be a great mirror of how you react in other situations as well, right?
Exactly. It's so true. So we try to use everything for people's learning, and we tie it all into the experience of whatever the theme is for that workshop. Yeah. So, it's a lovely way to travel. It's a lovely way to use travel for your business. It's a lovely way to invest in yourself and invest with others. People get clients, they make friends. Um, we have friends that were with me a few years ago, just went to visit friends in California, and they met on the retreat that I led. So
Wow.
I just call myself I'm the vice president of invitations, or the inviter in chief, because all I do is invite people to anything. And people will either come or not come, or say maybe, or next year, or not this year.
Sure.
I mean,
Even
I
if
just
you
invite all the time.
even if you formulate an invitation, it's a no now, it doesn't mean necessarily it's a no in 6 months, actually, right?
Correct. And business builders, business entrepreneurs, all we do is invite people to participate with us,
In
whether
fact,
it's in a podcast or
the
an
name
interview.
the name of your company is getting clients everywhere, right?
Get clients everywhere. Yep. And, I think a lot of times people don't realize that if they really know who they are, and they know what they offer, they know what their specialty is, they know what they charge, they also know who they're not. Then when you're really key into that, when you're out there in the world, you spot people, and there's opportunities to have conversations. Not everything ends up in a client. I mean, some people don't go to Italy to get clients. They might do that more here in the States. But if they get a client, it's great. I always use the example of my virtual assistant who came with me to Italy about 5 years ago. And when she left there, she got 4 clients that were with us on the retreat.
Whoa, bingo.
Yeah, we said get clients everywhere, even in Tuscany.
So if I may ask you, Marie, what's the major pain point in your experience that people have when they say, yes, I want to come to Italy with you?
I think the pain point is more I want to go, I don't want to go alone. I don't want to plan it. I don't want to retreat it. I want to just unpack my bags and just have everything done for me and have a beautiful experience. And I think some people are looking for that context too, for like, what's in it for me to come to Italy with you? Because I'm not a travel agent, although some people think I am. I'm not at all. I don't make reservations for anybody. Um, but I think it's I don't know if it's so much a pain point for what I do in Italy. It's more I want to slow down, I want to stop, I need a great vacation. I don't want to go by myself. I'm too busy to plan anything. I want to we be with people that know what they're doing. I want an immersive experience.
They need a facilitator, and they see in you a great facilitator, actually. You told me your retreat could be a vacation somehow, but you also told me, if I remember correctly, that you are available for your people to have coaching conversations if they choose to, right?
Yes. Sometimes people want to actually have some time to do something, or there might be somebody in the retreat that has a specialty, and they could offer to do like an hour's, meeting. It's optional. And one time we had somebody with us that did a training on how to identify the key stories of your life to use in speaking engagements. And almost everybody that was there, all the people that were there, they were there, we were there with another group, they all came to that presentation. Sometimes we've been there with other photographers, and photographers will, after dinner one night, they'll do a presentation on how to actually compose your photos, what to look for, how to do it, how to crop them. I mean, and then they practice that while they're on the retreat. So sometimes people who have been clients of mine building their business, they might want to have a conversation. And I always say it's just so different than I could be with them on Zoom, and we still get work done. It's still useful. But sometimes there's something magical that happens, when you're sitting in a glass of wine, or in your villa room, or, when you're looking at a sunset and sitting on a hilltop.
Yes. Here we go again. The place where you are is going to be a container of the experience, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Good.
And I try to keep it that way. And then, and sometimes when we're like a lot of times when I'm in Tuscany, I'm there with another group. I don't know that group. I don't know the facilitator. Sometimes I do because I've been going back a lot. Um, but we include everybody. If I'm doing a guided meditation, we make it available to everybody. Some people come, some people don't, some people sleep, you know. Um, and if we, sometimes we do like movement in the morning, and if somebody else will lead that, it's all optional. But we're very, I would say, and that's what I think has been really nice about my upbringing is very inclusive upbringing. So I like to have that variety and the diversity of people that are with us, and yet you try to always in the in retreats always set guidelines and ground rules at the beginning.
Guidelines and ground rules, absolutely. You told me, a while ago that your retreats are open also to men. I thought initially it was only for women, but instead, it's more inclusive, so to say, right?
Yeah. It's like, I mean, most of the time I work with women. I market to women and market my messages to women business owners. But even in some of my classes, there are men that sign up, or they might have known me from before or somebody referred them to me. But people, if I had a group of women business owners that wanted to come to Italy, they usually want to bring their husband or their partner, and so, we've had people bring their sons and son-in-laws,
Mm.
so we just included, it doesn't make any difference. It's not a women's retreat.
It's
It's
not a
just,
women retreat. So you're going to formulate an invitation, and then it's going to be an extended invitation, right?
yeah. And like my business retreats here are designed for women. I've
All
got one
right.
in May. It's a women's retreat for women called Connect and Prosper Live. And
Connect and
so,
prosper live. Lovely. Do you
yeah.
perceive, Marie, in your experience, that the need of women that are going to say yes to your invitation are pretty much the same need also that men have, or do you perceive something different?
Well, I think women operate differently in business than men.
Hmm. Would you mind to
So,
tell us a little bit more here?
well, there's a couple things that I've really discovered over life. Men never sell on a discount.
Hmm.
Women always do. It's like, your price today is this, but I'll give it to you for this. Men never. They just do their men have grown up with teams, with sports, I would say more likely than women. I mean, women didn't have sports in the United States until I don't know when, but growing up. But men have always had that, football, baseball, rugby, basketball, you know, uh, and so they have some of that with each other. But men have like a more direct approach to things, whereas I think women have more of a softer approach and are more relationship oriented.
Hmm.
Where I think men typically, not all men and not all businesses, are very keyed on the results, or they're very on their mission.
So
You know,
could we say
even
that
myself.
they are more assertive in somehow? They start from a A point, and very likely they don't go to B point because they want to negotiate.
Yeah, maybe. It's different, I think. I don't really study that, but I just know that women love to be in the company of other women. Some women have never had that. Some women have never had women that support them. They've they can learn from great role models because we operate very similarly. You know, we're designed to operate differently.
We have this
And so,
to
like
operate
when I
differently.
would run my women's networks, it, it it was great. Every now and then, a man would come to the women's network. We didn't say you're not welcome, but when they came in the room, behavior changed.
How,
We
if I
operated
may ask?
differently.
What is that you notice there?
It's just different, They don't either say enough, or I think they hold back, or it's just all kinds of things show up. But it just changes the energy. If you market something and then it's like, then even on the retreats, we've had people that we have a website, we have information, we send multiple mailings once people have registered. I'm always talking about them. And every now and then somebody registers who's a friend of someone or a relative of someone. They've never gone to the website, they've never understood. if we did an open Zoom to just kind of say hello, or we can recognize you when we see you in the train station, you know, um, they don't show up, or they call me and say, I don't know how to use Zoom, I can't, and so I walk them through things. And then they get there and they think they're on a private tour, they think they're on a private vacation. And we learn very quickly that they're not, and they just are an outlier.
So
So it,
you
it
have to
makes
deal.
it, I think it's very important to really make sure that when we're doing it, as best we can, that we try to have the right people that are there for the right reasons, and they understand that it's not a private tour.
It's
They have
about
some
to be
time that they can go
able.
by themselves, but
You have to set the right expectations, right, to avoid to
correct.
have then surprise in the place in the country where you go. You said before, if I may go back, that you notice that women sometimes have the tendency to be more soft in how they, establish a price. They are more open to negotiate in that sense versus men that are not so inclined to do that. What do you think about this? Do you think it's a plus for a woman to have this kind of flexibility, or sometimes it's not really a plus?
I think both. I just think, I always look at what's working and what's effective,
What's
you know?
working? What's effective?
Yeah. I mean, I just think women are more relationship oriented. You know, it's like if I'm at a networking event, I might look at somebody and go, "Oh my God, I love your shoes," or "Those are great glasses. Where did you get your glasses?" I mean, we start with things like that, and then people are, I think women oftentimes are afraid to sell. I think they're afraid to, generally speaking, afraid to ask for what they're worth.
Mm.
I mean, I've had so many coaches even tell me, Marie, you don't charge enough money for what you do. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I charge what I think is right. You know, there are some people that they just, no, my program's $25,000. I'm not that coach,
Mm.
you know, and the people that I work with, that they're not that people either. So I just have to be authentic, but I think women are more relationship oriented and care more about the relationships. They would care more if somebody said yes, and they would care more if somebody said no.
I love the word you just used, authenticity, right?
Yeah.
I feel also in my experience as a coach, as a professional trainer, is becoming more and more important. Not that because I think I was not authentic, but I do believe that when we change, when my values are not necessarily the same anymore, when I see my life in a different way, I feel the need to adapt to it, even the way I respond to people, in the way I talk with people. Like for me, for example, slowing down, even in the way I talk, it's a key learning point, and I'm practicing every day because I was used to think and speak fast because I thought that that was a sign of being smart, but I'm realizing that's not necessarily the case in my face now. So, going back to the main topic of our call for for today, which is a retreat, I think, an experiential vacation or a retreat, a coaching retreat, how we want to call it, is key also to give ourselves the space and time to become aware of this. How am I reacting in my business, in my personal life, and how is this still functional? You see?
Yes, I mean, sometimes they get a meal and they don't like the meal, and how they act about it is telling. And so we might use that. I might pull them aside and say, you know, this is what we noticed. What was going on for you then? Some people are very open to that kind of a conversation, and some people really aren't. But, we always set it up to use everything for your advancement, use everything for your learning. If you lost your luggage, go shopping. you know, um, it's like, how can we use everything in a situation as a tool for our own enlightenment, our own advancement, our own awareness? And I think most people are in that. And if we pay attention, and pay attention to how people are. I mean, some people have never been to Europe. Some people have never been on a big long plane ride. Yesterday I bought a ticket to Rome. It was the most expensive ticket I ever bought in my entire life. I was like, but guess what? I'm the retreat leader. I need to go.
You have
So
to, right?
I have to be accountable. So, it's like these are things that people are faced with all the time. Whereas people have to, they have to deal with childcare. They have to deal with elder care. Maybe some people are taking care of their elderly parents or someone that's ill in their family, or they've got a business that needs to run while they're away. So sometimes, we help people manage the circumstances that allows them to be with us, and the trip is the reward. They do the work beforehand to
Fantastic.
to
I love it the way you put it. The key learning point is how to manage circumstances in your life, because if you do it here, you learn a system that you can use in other places as well. And we know it takes time, right? It's not you learning once and then it's over. It's almost a never-ending story. But I think using, experiential activities like a retreat it's a great way to support people. Well, it was a pleasure, Marie, of course, like every time to be in touch with you, to feel your energy and your experience as a retreat leader. And as I said in many other occasions, I really hope, you will come to Asolo sooner or later and experience this land as well. It would be a true joy to meet you in person again. What's your key learning point, if I may use this word, for this call, if I may ask you?
I think relationship building.
Hmm.
It's just like getting to know people. I mean, we've done several Zooms, we've met in person. You heard me speak at an event. I've heard you. I get your newsletters, I see your different things that you do. I mean, it's just like it becomes richer and richer over time. And then people become dear to you. So, it's like not everybody gives me this time to share. We're going to do something next week for you. We share and put the spotlight on other people. So I just think it's when people are willing to develop relationships that sometimes turn into friendships. They could be colleague relationships or quick relationships, but they're important. And so that's what I appreciate. It's just relationship and opportunity to deepen a friendship and appreciation.
Thank you so much. It's all about co-creation, right? Almost all the times.
And
Lovely.
congratulations to you for being the number one Italian coach. It's like
Eh,
that's
I'm
amazing.
not sure. I'm not sure if that's really true. I don't think it's true. But anyhow, we accept what we are receiving from the universe, so to say, right? As an award. So, okay, happy to hear so. And looking
Brava.
forward to meet you in person, hopefully in Sardinia or here in Asolo. So let's keep in touch. And for people that would like to know more about what you do, you have a great website, getting clients everywhere. We will post also the link, of course, for your retreats here.
As I just want to make one correction. It's get clients everywhere, not
Get
getting clients.
clients everywhere.
Get clients everywhere. And I also have a page that's called Retreat with Marie. And that has all the
Fantastic.
retreats on it. So you might look at that. That's new.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's new.
Yeah, I was exploring the other day and I really like the graphic and how you build it. So well done, Marie. Looking forward to our next call. All right. Have a lovely rest
Brava,
of your
grazie
day.
mille.
Prego mille. Ciao.
Sì. Ciao ciao.
Ciao. Ciao.